Hi and Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 3. So today we will present on Malaysia new economic policy. So firstly, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is SITI NADZURAH binti RAMLI. My metric number is 2023-185069.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AISHA binti ABDUL. My metric number is 2023399347.
My name is NURUL binti WAHAB. My metric number is 2023104867.
My name is SYAZANAJWA binti SUHAIMI. My metric number is 2023396035.
My name is NURALISA binti MALIK FAISHAL. My student ID is 2023305311.
My name is Muhammad IRHAN ZEHRIE bin Muhammad OZLAN. My ID number is 2023149369.
So now, we will be presenting based on this table of contents. So firstly, we will do some introduction. The second one is policy problem. The third one is policy objective and strategy. Next is policy evaluation. The fifth one is policy recommendation, and the last one is conclusion.
Malaysia's new economic policy, NEP, has a substantial history that began in the early 1970s. Introduced in 1971, the policy was developed by the Malaysian government led by the United Malays National Organisation (UMNO), which was the dominant party in the ruling coalition at that time. The NEP was a response to the racial tensions and economic inequalities that came to the forefront after the 1969 riots. Its primary aim was to address the economic disparities faced by the Bumiputra population while promoting national unity. This policy provided them with economic opportunities and resources that had long been out of reach, aiming to bridge the gap in wealth and social well-being. Over time, the NEP scope expanded to encompass broader economic development and structural transformation. Throughout its history, the NEP has played a central role in shaping Malaysia's economic and social landscape. It remains a subject of ongoing discussion and adaptation as Malaysia navigates the evolving challenge and opportunities of the modern era. The NEP's legacy underscores the nation's commitment to achieving a fair and inclusive society, making it a significant aspect of Malaysia's contemporary socio-economic fabric.
So, the first problem before the establishment of the new economic policy that occurs in Malaysia is poverty. So, poverty occurs due to various factors. So, these are four of the factors that occur before the new economic policy. The first one is unequal distribution of resources. Resources such as land, infrastructure, and economic opportunities were not evenly distributed, resulting in certain communities having fewer resources to uplift themselves economically. Next, income inequality. Before the new economic policy, there was a significant gap between the incomes of different groups, with some communities earning significantly less than others. The third one is lack of access to education and healthcare. Certain communities had limited access to quality education and healthcare services, which hindered their ability to break the cycle of poverty. Lastly, limited job opportunities. Many individuals during that time faced a lack of job opportunities, especially in certain regions or for specific groups, leading to a high unemployment rate and a struggle to escape poverty.
The next policy problem is gap. The program has emerged as one of the most controversial topics, with accusation that the government discriminates economically against non-Burmese. First, the policy limitation and methods were not sufficiently described. Primarily, the NEP overlooked the significance of Bumiputra preferential treatment in relation to the second prong and its implementation in industry with limited opportunities. Second, the NEP was opaque and non-committal about the implications of its timeline and target. The timeframe of 1971 to 1919 and key targets were clear enough. By 1919, occupation at all levels and in all industry would reflect the national racial composition, and Bumiputras will own 30% of equity. The policy, which is believed to have favored Malay so much, is often viewed by non-Malay people as ethnic prejudice. Lastly, with regard to the distribution of priorities and emphasis, the NEP prioritized enforced equity ownership over education and gave education comparatively less weight. The two main objectives were to restructure the ownership of productive wealth so that by 1919 the Malays and other indigenous people own and operate at least 30% of the total. Unemployment in the various sectors of the economy and employment at all occupation levels should reflect the racial composition of country. According to Jesuits in 1990, Malaysia company was required by this act to set aside a minimum of 30% of their company ownership for Malay interests. All non-Bumiputra company must hire and train Malaysian citizens to reflect the multiracial composition of the nation population in all grades of appointment up to managerial level, as it was directly linked to the enterprise's observance of NEP's goal.
Policy problem, racial riots. The racial riots on 13 May 1969 demonstrated quite clearly that there is a feeling of mistrust and hatred that is very noticeable among people of various races in this country. The May 13, 1969 riots resulted in establishing a new economic policy, NEP. The formulation of the NEP was precipitated by the outbreak of racial conflict in 1969, which revealed the growing problem in Malaysian society that can threaten to undermine the very foundation of a harmonious and secure nation. In addition, it must be underlined that national unity is the country's overarching objective and fundamental goal. National unity is the cornerstone for constructing a strong and united Malaysia, and it is critical to guarantee the nation's long-term viability and security. Not only that, creating a socio-economic climate that would allow for the viable and equitable involvement of all races in the development process was one of the multifaceted approaches to establishing national unity. In this context, the NEP is one of the tools for creating national unity and cohesion through poverty eradication and social transformation. Poverty eradication efforts developed during the previous 15 years have helped to promote a sense of belonging to society as well as security, while decreasing feelings of deprivation and alienation by integrating the poor into the mainstream of economic life. The restructuring effort brought Malaysians together, regardless of ethnic origin, to participate in commercial and industrial ventures. Furthermore, NEP continues its progress through the education system by implementing the use of Bahasa Malaysia as the medium of instruction, while contributed to enhancing the basis for national unity by promoting effective communication among Malaysians. And last but not least, the policy provided financial and technical assistance to Bumiputra entrepreneurs, encouraging the growth of Bumiputra-owned businesses, and this economic empowerment aimed to create a more inclusive economy where all races could participate actively.
Policy problem regarding unemployment was the lack of focus on inclusive growth and equitable distribution of resources. The policy at that time were more centered around promoting certain industry and region, which result in uneven development and limited job opportunity for a certain group. This led to persistent unemployment and income disparities among different segments of the population. Also, a high rate of population increase, which posed a challenging problem of finding productive employment for each year new entrants into the labour force. Next, the insufficient investment in education and skill training. This limited the ability of the individual to acquire the necessary qualification for available job opportunity. Therefore, a large number of economic activity have been put aside due to the lack of employment and skilled employees, just as the unusually large increase in wage rates for skilled construction workers resulting from a shortage of trained labour has contributed to inflationary tendencies in the construction industry.
There are two objectives to this strategy. The first objective is to reduce and further eradicate poverty by increasing job opportunities for all people regardless of race. Objective number 2 is to reorganize society and further eliminate identification races according to economic functions. The first strategy to reduce poverty is Malaysian Industrial Development Authority, which known as MIDA. It was established in 1967 to attract foreign direct investment and promote local industries. It has been instrumental in facilitating investment in various sectors, leading to job creation and economic growth. Since 1967, MIDA was given mandates to promote investments, advise the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, and support companies in project implementation. The next program is Tabung Ekonomi Kumpulan Usaha Niaga, known as TEKUN. It was established in 1998 under the Ministry of Entrepreneurial and Cooperative Development. The objective of establishing TEKUN is to provide quick financing facilities to Bumiputra in order to kickstart and further expand their businesses. This transformation aims is to enhance TEKUN's effectiveness and fostering a dynamic Bumiputra commercial and industrial community. Congress Ekonomi Bumiputra. On June 4, 1965, Congress Ekonomi Putra will held in Kuala Lumpur for 3 days to generate an interest among Malays and other local indigenous groups to participate in commerce and industry. This congress served as a platform for Bumiputra entrepreneurs, professionals and policymakers to discuss strategies for economic development. Dasar Perpaduan Negara. It was introduced to promote national integration, harmony and understanding among Malaysia's multi-ethnic population. It emphasized the importance of respecting and celebrating the cultural diversity of the nation while fostering a sense of unity as Malaysians. Rukun Tetangga. It is one of the voluntary programs aimed at assisting in the development of local communities in Malaysia. The concept of this program is similar to the Neighbourhood Watch as practiced in the United Kingdom. The program encouraged community involvement and neighbourly relationship as means of promoting social harmony, reducing tensions, maintaining security and well-being in their neighbourhoods. FELDA, Federal Land Development Authority, is a Malaysian government agency that was formed on July 1, 1956. It is to handle the resettlement of rural poor into newly developed areas. It established new land settlements and provided support for agricultural activities, allowing rural Malays to become smallholders and generate income from farming. MARA, Majlis Amanah Rakyat, is a Malaysian government agency that was formed on March 1, 1966 under the Rural and National Development Ministry. It initiated various entrepreneurial programs to provide financial aid, training and guidance to Bumiputra entrepreneurs. This program has been instrumental in helping them to start and grow businesses, thus reducing unemployment rates among these communities.
The strengths of poverty programs that help in reducing poverty is its promoted rural development. After the establishment of the new economic policy, there are a lot of differences that can be seen where poverty was reduced in rural areas since the NEP targeted the development of rural areas. The poverty rate in the rural areas declined from 58.7% in 1970 to 47.8% in 1976 and further to 24.7% in 1984. This has been shown that the effort of the government in reducing poverty has benefited the people from rural areas at that time. The government invested in improving infrastructure such as building roads, bridges and irrigation systems to connect rural communities and enhance their access to markets and services. This helps stimulate economic activities and create job opportunities. It also aimed to provide better access to education and healthcare in rural areas. They built schools and clinics, trained more teachers and healthcare professionals, and implemented programs that ensured the quality education and healthcare services were accessible to rural communities. These were crucial in empowering individuals and improving their overall well-being. Lastly, NEP also promoted agricultural development and supported small-scale industries in rural areas. This included providing financial assistance, technical support, and training programs to help farmers and entrepreneurs enhance their productivity by income. By strengthening the agricultural and rural sectors, the NEP aimed to uplift rural communities and reduce poverty. So, this data shows the difference of poverty rate between 1970 to 1984. The implementation and effectiveness of the policy at the grassroots level has become the weakness in overcoming the poverty problem during that time. This is because there are a lot of challenges faced during the implementation. Some of the challenges are bureaucratic red tape, corruption, and lack of proper monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. These factors have hindered the smooth execution of the policies and affected the impact on rural development. So first, bureaucratic red tape. Bureaucratic red tape refers to excessive rules, regulations, and procedures that can slow down the implementation of policies. So from this, it has created unnecessary barriers and delays, making it harder for resources and support to reach the rural areas in a timely manner. Next is the lack of proper monitoring and evaluation mechanisms. The lack of proper monitoring and evaluation mechanisms means that there may be limited oversight and assessment of the impact of poverty reduction programs. So there might be ineffective monitoring and evaluation. It has become difficult to identify what is working well and what needs improvement. This has led to inefficiencies and the inability to make informed decisions to enhance the effectiveness of poverty reduction efforts.
The strength of this policy is it helps to improve the economic growth and Bumiputra's participation in the economic sector. NEP contribute a lot in the country economic growth as it gives opportunity for the people to participate in the economic sector. Not only that, affirmative action and income redistribution were only two of the policy that NEP also put into practice. Despite varying views on its efficacy, certain research indicates that the NEP played a role in the overall economic expansion of Malaysia. It is essential to acknowledge that there are several elements that impact economic growth, of which the NEP is but one. Besides that, the implementation of NEP is also indirectly helped to improve the Bumiputra's participation in the economic sector. The economic gains from more Bumiputra participation because it promotes inclusive growth and unlock the potential of every Malaysian. Equal access to economic opportunities, education, and skill building make Bumiputra more likely to have a wide-ranging and a dynamic workforce. The economy is also stimulated by Bumiputra firm, which also invest, create jobs, and advance general economic growth. For example, improved economic growth in Malaysia result in higher GDP, thriving enterprises, and increased employment possibilities. Equal access to this possibility is ensured for all Malaysians, irrespective of race, through growing Bumiputra engagement in the economic sector. Thus, a more wealthy and peaceful community is promoted and the economic disparity between races is lessened. On the other hand, the weakness of this policy is that it increases inequality among races in Malaysia. Inequality is one of the biggest and persistent issues happening in Malaysia even before the NEP was implemented. According to LAI 2020, based on our socio-economic background, inequality can be characterized as anything from sex to age, race to class, ethnicity, handicap, sexual orientation, and religion. These categories could hamper people's capacity to seek a successful life in society and receive equal acknowledgement for who they are. People who are multiracial and multi-ethnic in Malaysia still do not get equal privileges to this day, and it is the cause of the problem of inequality between these races. This happened because the main purpose of the implementation of the NEP was to focus only on Bumiputra, resulting in the government taking granted those who are non-Bumiputra. For example, Malaysia had a very high level of inequality in 2002. The country's top 1% income share was 90% and the top 10% income was share 44%. These figures are higher than those of US and significantly higher than those of China. This shows that the inequality issue in Malaysia is still not resolved even after the implementation of the NEP. As you can see, this is the data research that we found about the increasing of GDP during and after the implementation of NEP. Following the 1985 recession, Malaysia's economy expanded rapidly for over 10 years, reaching a real annual growth rate of 7.8% during the 1997 financial crisis, driven primarily by the manufacturing sector robust performance. At the expense of agriculture, the manufacturing sector share of the GDP grew dramatically from 13.4% in 1970 to 35.7% in 1995. Malaysian economy is highly transparent. Not only that, the improvement of economic growth during NEP was also contributed by the export and import activities by the government. The percentage of export and import in the GNP increased from 77.3% in 1970 to 169.2% in 1997, demonstrating Malaysia's increased economic integration with the global economy, particularly during the 1980s and 1990s, for instance, periods of globalization. Significant increases in petroleum prices in 1974 and 1979, along with the manufacturing sector, 26.2% growth rate in 1970, also contributed to the period's strong economic growth.
Strength of racial riots. Strengthen national unity among all races. National unity has been one of the fundamental themes for nation building since independence. Unity is generally defined as equality and single-mindedness in shaping a national identity such as one nation and one language. Taking into account the context of a nation with ethnic, linguistic, religious, and cultural diversity, the concept of unity emphasizes unity in diversity. In 1969, there was a riot between the Malays and the Chinese that has shaken the security of the country. 30 May incident has taken 166 lives and destroyed the unity of the Malaysian nation. A new economic policy, which was called the New Economic Policy (NEP), was announced in 1970. The implementation of this new economic policy was made after the incident of 13 May 1969, which aimed to strengthen national unity among all races by eradicating poverty and bridging the income gap between races. NEP's approach to overcoming the socio-economic imbalance in the society is by giving preferential treatment to the Malays as well as other nationalities such as Chinese and Indians. According to the data, by 1970, Malays control just approximately 1.4% of share capital, whereas Chinese own 27.2%. The large income gap and poverty rate between Bumiputra and the Chinese caused some parties to be dissatisfied. Therefore, the NEP was implemented to strengthen the spirit of the unity and fix the economy of each race in Malaysia. Witnesses, discrimination between races still occurs because NEP is more focused on Bumiputra. Despite the good intention behind the NEP, some claim that it has unintentionally helped to maintain racial discrimination. The policy has created an unequal playing field by giving the Bumiputra community preferential treatment in various sectors, which has led to a sense of entitlement among the group. People who are not Bumiputra are frequently encounter obstacles and little opportunities, which breeds animosity and widen racial dividers. According to previous data, Indians are one of the most obviously impacted racial group in comparison to Bumiputra and Chinese. Indians have the lowest percentage of socio-economic development. In addition, the focus on Bumiputra-centric policies has contributed to economic disparities between different racial groups. Limited access to education, employment, and business opportunities for non-Bumiputra individuals hampers their socio-economic progress, leading to a divided society. Furthermore, racial discrimination resulting from the NEP poses a significant challenge to Malaysia's national unity. A harmonious society is built on equal opportunities and mutual respect among all ethnic groups. According to the data, the poverty rate was successfully reduced following the implementation of the NEP. The declining poverty rate and narrowing income gap between races will reduce tension and dissatisfaction among some parties while also restoring national unity. This is because NEP considers that unity has a relationship and correlated with the correction of economic imbalances from Mauzi 1997. Therefore, in order to foster unity, the government needs to deal with economic imbalance such as poverty by allowing participation from all races in various economic sectors.
Strength of policy, evaluation and employment is job creation plays a crucial role in reducing unemployment and achieve full employment. When new job opportunities are created at a sufficient rate, more individuals can find employment and contribute to the labour force. It's important to focus on initiatives that promote job growth and create an environment conducive to economic expansion. By doing so, It can work toward minimizing unemployment and maximizing employment opportunity for everyone. But the weakness here is the new economic policy may have limited success in reducing unemployment rate among certain group, which is from race and sector. Even the pattern of labor use remain relatively stable in urban area, there has been a significant reduction in unemployment in rural areas. So specific challenge faced by this group and implement target policy to address their unique need to be understanding and addressing the underlying factor contributing to their unemployment. So this is data of employment by race and sector.
Next is a policy recommendation. So this recommendation was based on the weakness in the poverty problem. The recommendation is by making a targeted and inclusive approach. By improving monitoring and evaluation in Malaysia's new economic policy, which is NEP, to reduce poverty, it's crucial to establish clear objectives and indicators to measure the impact of poverty reduction initiatives. Regular data collection analyses are important to track progress and outcomes. Engaging independent evaluators can provide unbiased assessments. Transparency, accountability, and making evaluation reports publicly available are key. By continuously monitoring and evaluating the NEP, we can make evidence-based decisions to effectively reduce poverty and promote sustainable development in Malaysia.
Furthermore, one of the recommendations in order to overcome this issue of gap in this policy is for the government to provide equal opportunities through education. The government can promote equal opportunities in education by implementing policy that ensure access to quality education for all races. This involves offering scholarship, enhancing educational facilities, and advocating for inclusive curricula that value diversity. Through education, the income gap can be addressed and a more egalitarian society can be established. Equal opportunities through education can improve the economy and narrow the income gap across racial groups. When people of all races have access to high quality education, they can learn the skills and information needed to be productive member of the society. Growth in the economy, increased productivity, and innovation may result from this. Furthermore, closing the wealth gap helps foster harmony and social cohesiveness in the community. Given that persons of different races have equal opportunities for success, it fosters social cohesion. By producing a competent workforce that fosters innovation and higher production, it also strengthens the economy. Reducing the income gap also promotes a more inclusive society in which all people can prosper and make a contribution. It is a step in the right direction for a stronger and more cohesive country.
Recommendation: expanding and economic opportunities to other races. Expanding and establishing economic opportunities to overcome discrimination after the new economic policy NEP requires a multifaceted approach that addresses various aspects of discrimination and promotes inclusivity and equal opportunities for all. It is by affirmative action and diversity and inclusion policies. Firstly, implement affirmative action policies to ensure a certain percentage of jobs are reserved for individuals from disadvantaged background. This could be applicable in both public and private sector. Secondly, encourage companies to adopt diversity and inclusion policy, ensuring fair treatment and opportunities for everyone, irrespective of their background.
Recommendation for unemployment is manpower development strategy through the provision of productive employment opportunity to those especially in rural area involved in low income activities, reduce the use of less labor force. So in addition, it is to upgrade and increase the supply of skilled manpower at all levels, such as increasing labor productivity and accelerating the rate of participation of Malay and other indigenous people in the modern and higher economic sector. So of course, with the development of the workforce, it is very necessary to collect strategies that can achieve a job creation rate above the average for the sector as a whole and reflect a high growth rate of add value and a relatively high labor absorption capacity.
In conclusion, the NEP in Malaysia played a crucial role in addressing economic disparities and reducing poverty. It was effective and successful despite some deficiencies. Instead of abolishing the policy, it could benefit from remuneration to strengthen and improve it based on current development and distribution in the country. This will ensure that it continues to provide significant benefits to diverse society in Malaysia.
I think that's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.